Welcome back to the shop. It's a Wednesday morning. It's, I don't know, August 15th or something like that. Anyway, since I didn't bring you back in, there was nobody up at the field to do a video of Old Yeller on my initial flight with it. It flew nice. It does have issues, and I'm going to tell you about what the issues are before I start on the next thing, because you might have seen that little teaser of me walking in with this box. That's probably going to be the next little project. But anyway, let me show you what the problem I need to work on with this one. And this was something that you didn't notice. Sorry about that. Got lights everywhere. There we go. I didn't notice that the problem was there until I took off. And it's got to do with P factor. And that was the old thing. Remember what I told you? When this spins around, it swirls the air around and hits the tail. So every Piper Cub, you know, you got to battle it. Any top wing, pretty much any airplane on takeoff, you need to use a rudder on a tail dragger. So what ended up happening is I had to throw a whole lot of rudder in because it really shoved that tail off to this side. So I had to throw a lot of rudder in, and as soon as you took off, it started yawing the plane. So once the plane got up in the air, the whole plane just started rotating. So what you had to do is you had to keep a lot of rudder thrown in just through the initial part of picking up speed. As soon as you got up to full throttle, everything was fine. It was that slow speed in the pretty much it was the P factor just caused so much yaw in this plane. Now what I did was, when I was out at the field, because I had 5 flights with this one, I mean it flies good. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. I'm going to try to. I'm hoping that you will be able to see it. This line here is center. It's center from the point of the prop hub all the way back to the let's just call it the prop shaft. So this is it. You should have, in real life, Piper Cubs had 0. This one, if I could get a good angle, it's about -1 or -0.5 degree. It's got about a 0.5 degree of left thrust, no right thrust at all. So that's the problem. This thing, because it's, first of all, it's facing the wrong way. It's angled like this instead of like this. So what I need to do is, just like on the Taylor Craft where that whole thing was all jacked up, I'm going to do the same thing to this one. So all I'll have to do is take this off, move everything up and off to your right, and then angle it. So I'm going to angle it down 2 degrees, and I'm going to angle it about 1.5 degrees off to the right. So that's what I did to my other Piper Cub, and the thing flies great. So I'm going to do the same thing to this one. It's not going to take too long. What I'll do is I will make some measuring tools. I'll make a couple of them, because I'm going to need it to bolt onto here, across, make sure that it's level, and then we're going to go from this point to this point up to the top of the rudder. So here's where I'm going to have, I'll put a little pin down in here, or I'll put a mark, and that's where I'm going to measure it from. So that's going to be the reference point. Now for this direction here, that's where it gets fun, because you don't know how it's all set up. I mean, to me it looks like it's actually angled up, but I'm not sure, because as you can see, of course it's not that much, but I had to trim this thing out with down elevator to get it to fly level. It really wanted to climb, so that's probably going to be the problem with that. So you'll be able to rotate this thing sideways, and I'll make a reference point, because this rudder is supposed to be, and I'm hoping it is, because I'm going to try to take as many measurements as possible. This rudder hinge line here is supposed to be at 90 degrees to the thrust line, or to the front. So we're going to find out, but I think this is leaned back a little bit. So I'll have to take a measurement here, and then I'll have to flip the plane upside down, and then we'll take a measurement off the bottom here all the way to the back on the bottom. So see, such a fun hobby. So anyway, that'll probably be a a one-day project, just to do that, to get it made up and ready to go. So this, I'm not really that concerned about that. So that'll be hopefully a little learning experience for those that are just getting involved in watching the videos. So here is what I walked in with. This is the next potential, and I think it's going to be the one that I'm going to do. It's going to be a build, and it's an old Airtronics. This plans and everything came out in 1979. So it's a Warlock. It's a pattern. It's basically a pattern. They call it a 40 pattern scale model. So it's designed for pattern aerobatics. So IMAC pattern aerobatics. You don't have a whole lot of throw. The tail's got a pretty good throw on it. Ailerons, they're actually not too bad. It's like little barn door ailerons. So that will be nice. If I wanted to extend anything and make modifications on a tail, I can do that, but I'll probably leave it the way it is. Now, this is a tricycle gear. It's got, you know, the wheels here underneath the wing, and then you got the nose gear. And here's where I'm already working on things. I think I'm going to go electric. I do have a glow motor, but I think I'm going to go electric on this one. That way I can keep the more sleek shape on it. And then I'll have to make a hatch where I can get in to get to the battery pack. So there might be a hatch where I'm going to cut down here, go all the way across to the back, and then up. I got to figure that section out. And I'll bring you along for that ride, because that's going to be fun. So here's my other options, because when I was talking to Larry DeRubo, because we were going to have that little build off, we decided that, you know, it's our planes and you build it the way you want it. So I asked him about kit bashing, and he said, hey, if you want to make changes, make changes. That's why, you know, I think the wheels are going to come into play on this one. I'm going to end up having to go in and possibly restructure the wing. I've got to find out where these things go in. I've done this kind of stuff before, and that's just it's gonna increase to a longer build time on it. But I do have my little wing jig. It's a huge one, but it's a square wing jig, because this is what they call a candy bar wing. So it'll make this thing a lot easier to put together. The only thing I may have to worry about, you would think, would be the root rib, but this wing is just a solid wing. It's not split apart. It sits right underneath the plane. So you'll probably make both halves and then join them together. So in that thing being long enough, the wing is 52 inches, and that thing was what, over 6 feet, I think it was, or right around 6 feet. So we'll be good on that. So anyway, what I'll have to do is these things will get put up inside, so there'll have to be an opening cut on the bottom of it. So it's gonna be fun and interesting. So we'll see how that progresses through, and I will bring you in, like I said, and this whole bench top will be cleared off, and to start new when I do this, because I'm going to be looking at these, basically the plans, for about 3 hours. And people joke about it, but you have to get your mind wrapped around this whole build before you start to build, because it doesn't come with pictures. You get the plans, and then they give you pretty much like an instruction book, but it doesn't give you everything that you need to know to get the job done. That's why that's how these things were made back in the day. And people, in most cases, the first couple planes they built were just, you know, they flew, but they weren't very well done, because they didn't know the intricacies of what you need to do to get them built. All right, so anyway, with the Warlock, this was going to be one of the questions that I've been kind of battling inside my head, and somebody might ask. I'm trying to decide how I want to cover it. I've already had friends say, hey, you got to go plastic. I can go plastic. I want to try something different, because it's what I do. And what I want to try is, instead of going with plastic, I don't want to go with fabric on that, because it's light. Silk span itself is almost like plastic. It's supposed to be silk fibers wrapped in with, you know, paper. It's kind of what it is. But here's what I'm thinking of doing with this one, is go with silk span instead of using dope. I'll have to use dope to attach it, or I'll have to use the heat sensitive glue to attach it. But then I want to try, and I'm going to make a jig, and you guys will see that too. I want to try using water-based Minwax to seal it. That way, when you go ahead and you spray paint on top of it, you're not going to have an interaction. Now, I've got some friends that have used that on fabric planes. Roger Bacon with his World War I planes, he used Minwax, and it came out very nice. And even with the Minwax, he had a little bit of wing warp in his Newport. So I just told him, I said, hey, let's try to heat it up and flex it the way it needs to be. And he wasn't sure if it was going to work, but he also knew that to get rid of that wing warp, if that didn't work, he was going to have to uncover that wing and redo it again anyway. So even with the Minwax in the heat with the fabric, he was able to go ahead and warm it up and take that wing twist out. So so it just like regular nitrate dope, you can still work with it after it's dried. So that's what I think I'm going to do with this. I think I'm just going to go ahead and I'll make a test because it's going to be interesting. I've never done that with anything yet. I've got some 3/4 ounce fiberglass that I was going to use on my P47 the same way. I was going to put that on there, then I was going to put the Minwax on. So that's going to be something that I will hopefully learn something very nice about, and hopefully you'll do the same. Enough of me yapping today. I will get this little monster right here. I'll start getting stuff set up, not today. I may do a takedown, start tearing some stuff apart, but I'll see if I can get anything rolling Friday morning before I go to work, and then Sunday morning before I go to work, because I got tomorrow off, but I've already got project already scheduled. It's got to get taken care of tomorrow, outside the shop, outside the house. So so I'll take care of that. But I pretty much going. Probably first day off is going to be at least a week from, tomorrow, a week from Thursday. So anyway, I will, if I'm down here in the shop, I'm going to make a short little vid, and just so that you guys can at least, get the little piecemeal coming through. So anyway, we'll get Old Yeller taken care of first, and then we'll get the shop set up for the Warlock.